News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moskow.
Karen, we begin with the main political event of the moment, President Donald Trump's State of the Union address.
Members of Congress and my fellow Americans, our nation is back, bigger, better, richer, and stronger than ever before.
Over a record 1 hour and 47 minutes, the president delivered a strident defense of his economic record in a speech that was heavy on patriotism.
This July 4th, we will mark 2.5 centuries of liberty and triumph, progress and freedom in the most incredible and exceptional nation ever to exist on the face of the earth. And you've seen nothing yet.
President Trump touted falling food and gasoline prices and blamed Democrats for costs that have stayed elevated since before the pandemic. And after the Supreme Court struck down his signature tariffs last week, President Trump gave little indication he plans to steer away from import duties.
They will continue to work along the same successful path that we had negotiated before the Supreme Court's unfortunate involvement. So despite the disappointing ruling, these powerful country saving. It's saving our country, the kind of money we're taking in.
President Trump delivered his remarks before 4 of the Supreme Court's justices, 3 of whom voted to reject his emergency tariffs.
Well, Nathan, President Trump did not offer many new policy proposals in his speech, though he did promise a $1,000 retirement saving match for workers without 401ks. He also called for a congressional ban on stock trading, and he took aim at Democrats for opposing his tough stand on immigration enforcement.
These people are crazy, I'm telling you. They're crazy.
The president accused Democrats of destroying the country after starting the speech with a recognition of Olympic gold medal winners. President Trump also touched on foreign policy with a warning about Iran's nuclear program.
They continue starting it all over. We wiped it out, and they want to start all over again, and are at this moment again pursuing their sinister ambitions. We are in negotiations with them. They want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon.
President Trump also praised the operation in Venezuela that captured former President Nicolas Maduro and awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor to one of the helicopter pilots involved in the raid. In one of the speech's more poignant moments, the president awarded the Purple Heart to the National Guard member who survived an attack in Washington last November.
And reaction, of course, Karen, is pouring in to President Trump's speech. Rick Davis was national campaign manager of John McCain's 2008 presidential campaign and is now a Bloomberg Politics contributor.
I think it was a different kind of speech than what we're used to seeing from President Trump. Normally, he paints a pretty dark picture of the country in order to say how much he has changed and made it better. He actually started off with the positive report card. And at a time when most people are tuned in, the first 30 minutes of this speech, he's going to get the highest number of eyeballs on the TV. He talked about affordability, the economy.
And like Rick Davis, Jeannie Sheehan Zaino is also a Bloomberg Politics contributor.
I think he got the memo from Susie Wiles. Affordability. With the first hour was on affordability. But what he didn't do is say how he is going to fix and address how people feel. And I don't think he changed any mind. So I think it was better than I thought it might be. But it wasn't enough to give people confidence that anything is going to change in the next year or two.
Bloomberg Politics contributors Jeannie Sheehan Zaino and Rick Davis made their comments on a special edition of Bloomberg's Balance of Power with Joe Matthew and Kaylee Lines.
Nathan, Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger delivered the Democratic rebuttal to President Trump's State of the Union address.
Since this president took office last year, his reckless trade policies have forced American families to pay more than $1,700 each in tariff costs. Small businesses have suffered, farmers have suffered, some losing entire markets. Everyday Americans are paying the price.
Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger was flanked by American flags as she delivered the speech from Colonial Williamsburg. Democratic Senator Alex Padilla of California delivered the party's Spanish language response.
Now, Karen, we turn to the latest in the search for the mother of Savannah Guthrie. The Today Show host says the family's putting out a new reward for information leading to the recovery of Nancy Guthrie.
We need her to come home. For that reason, we are offering a family reward of up to $1 million for any information that leads us to her recovery.
Savannah Guthrie made that announcement on Instagram. Nancy Guthrie went missing from her Arizona home more than 3 weeks ago.
Let's turn to the markets now, Nathan. Futures are higher ahead of yesterday's tech-fueled rally on Wall Street. The 1% gain for the Nasdaq comes ahead of this afternoon's earnings report from AI behemoth Nvidia. We get a preview with Bloomberg's Tom Busby.
Nvidia needs to deliver another blowout earnings report to justify the hundreds of billions of dollars being spent by tech giants on its artificial intelligence chips and other AI infrastructure. CEO Jensen Huang has assured investors that demand remains high as customers like Alphabet and Meta Platforms have detailed aggressive spending plans over the last few weeks, but investors are eager to hear about additional ways for Nvidia to grow, including planned chip sales in China. Bloomberg consensus calls for revenue of $65.91 billion on adjusted earnings per share of $1.53. Tom Busby, Bloomberg Radio.
And we have a programming note, Nathan. The markets may pause for the weekend, but the world does not. That's why we're bringing you a new radio and TV show. Bloomberg this weekend is looking beyond the daily headlines to the bigger themes driving politics, business, and culture. Join David Gura, Christina Ruffini, and Lisa Mateo for smart conversations and in-depth interviews that help make sense of the week that's been and what comes next. Saturdays and Sundays from 7 a.m. Eastern on Bloomberg Radio, TV, and the Bloomberg Business app. And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Karen Moskow.
I'm Nathan Hager, and this is Bloomberg.